today we're going to be looking at the top 23 items in Fortnite that only OGs remember. Now, these items may no longer be in the game, but for those of us that played since the very beginning, we will all remember them like they were in the game just yesterday. So let's jump right into this video on all of these items. Now, for our first item, we have the airstrike grenade, and this item was actually added all the way back in Chapter 1, Season 9. Now, it functioned exactly like it sounds the name would. You throw down the grenade, and it calls in an airstrike. It is the simplest item in Fortnite, but it was really funny to use, especially against people camping in boxes in late games. You would throw this thing down, and you would just start raining down fire from the skies, destroying everyone in its area. Now, for our second item, we have the guided missile, and this is a fan favorite. Everybody loves this item, but unfortunately, it got vaulted a while back. Now, this item was actually added all the way back in Chapter 1, Season 3. Crazy to think that we're almost to Chapter 3, Season 3 at this point, but the guided missile was an item where you could actually control a RPG and fly it anywhere you wanted. This led to some crazy shenanigans in-game, but overall, the item was a blast to use, but unfortunately got vaulted pretty quickly. Now, the third item that we have on this list is actually an item that we have in-game today, but it's a very different version than what we had all the way back then. This is the OG Burst AR. Now, for those who do not know, the Burst AR used to look very different than it does in its current state. Now, this original Burst AR was considered to be one of the worst guns in the game and actually stopped Tfue from buying any skins. Technically, that wasn't the reason, but once they vaulted this item, Tfue got back into Fortnite and started buying skins again because you guys may remember that he had his Jones skin only arc, but then it stopped once this item got vaulted. That's how much the community hated this gun. Now, for our fourth item on this list, we have the pumpkin launcher, and this thing is what made Fortnite take off, in my opinion. This was the center of attention during the Halloween season, all the way back in Chapter 1, Season 1. The very first season of Fortnite, I remember playing in these days and trying to get rocket riding clips just like CDN the Third does in this exact clip. It's amazing to see what was actually accomplished all the way back then and how insane it was to actually use this item. Now, for our fifth thing, we have the First Order Blaster Rifle, and this item is a very slept on item. A lot of people forgot about it. But in this clip, we can see Nate Hill going absolutely ham on the Stormtroopers and some players with this item. Now, it was actually added in Chapter 2, Season 1 as part of the Star Wars crossover, and a lot of people forgot about it because you got it from the Stormtrooper camps that actually spawned. But it was a really fun item to use, and honestly, it may be one of my favorites we've ever had, solely because of the infinite ammo on this weapon. It made it a blast to use and is actually forgotten by a lot of people, so I figured I'd throw it on this list just to show you guys that if you remember this item, you're technically kind of OG at this point with how many seasons Fortnite has actually had. Now, for our sixth item on this list, we have the Junk Rift, and this item is hilarious to use. It was introduced all the way back in Season X, and when you throw it down on the ground, well, it shoots junk out of a rift. It's not really that much to say about it. It is just really funny to watch, and if you land this on a player, it does a lot of damage, and they're very confused. Now, for our seventh item, we've got a clip from the legend himself, Daequan, and this showcases him using Cupid's Crossbow all the way back in Chapter 1, Season 2. This item was really actually kind of trash, but I remember it as amazing because, to be totally honest, I got my first solo win game by getting the last kill with a Cupid's Crossbow. I will always remember that. Hey, leave a comment down below how you got your first solo win in Fortnite. But for now, that's our seventh item. Let's move on to the eighth item. Now, for number 8, we have the quad launcher, and this item is a little bit different because it was added in Chapter 1, Season 6, but instead of being a standard RPG like we had seen all the way up until that point, it was basically a combination of a grenade launcher and the RPG, allowing you to shoot 4 rockets in a row without having to reload. This item was absolutely insane and was so much fun to use all the way back in Chapter 1, Season 6. Now, for our 9th item, we have the Zapatron, and you know I had to throw it on this list because it is an absolute staple of OG Fortnite days. Now, this item was added in on the first day of Chapter 1, Season 1, but was quickly removed due to how overpowered it was at the time. Nowadays, we've got stuff like the heavy sniper rifle, which does a load more damage than this thing actually did. But basically, this was actually showcased by Ionix, a French streamer at the time, and he was one of the only people to get footage of it before it got vaulted. It was an item that did 150 damage and was the only Fortnite item up until Chapter 2 to ever use energy ammo, but then we got stuff like the First Order Blaster Rifle, so while it is still a really cool item, it actually has lost some of its exclusivity as to being the only weapon that uses energy ammo. Now, for our 10th item, we have the OG SMG, and this thing was absolutely amazing. In my opinion, one of my favorite guns in the game, but it actually did get pretty quickly vaulted. Now, for those who don't know, the SMG looks a lot different today than it did back in Chapter 1, Season 1. Back then, it looked entirely different. As you guys can see, this is footage from Zylaz. He has an entire video breaking down the evolution of the SMG over the years, so if you want to go check that out, then the link will be in the description. But for now, the OG SMG was super cool, and it looked a lot different than what we have today, and is probably only remembered by a very small portion of Fortnite OGs. Now, for our 11th item, we have the boombox, and this thing, I don't even know what to say about this thing, guys. It was so overpowered. As you guys can see in this clip I took from creative mode from just a few hours ago, yes, you can still get it in creative mode, even though this was added all the way back in Chapter 1, Season 7. You can't build when you're near it. It is absolutely insane to have in the game. So, honestly, I'm kind of glad it's vaulted. Personally, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But I honestly think this is one of the craziest items Fortnite has ever added. Now, for our 12th item, this is another crossover item, and this is the Kingsmen umbrella, added in Chapter 2, Season 2. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about this item for a very long time until I started making this video, and I technically consider it OG solely due to the fact that if you remember this item, that's impressive, because I forgot about it, and I have played Fortnite for literally every season since it has been released. So this item was just kind of a sleeper item. I'm still not entirely sure what it does, but we have some amazing gameplay all the way over from Lachlan down under in Australia. Of course, he did an amazing job showcasing this item. And yeah, that's really all I can say about it. This was such a forgettable item. For our 13th item, we have the Infinity Blade, and this thing was so overpowered. Now, it still is technically in the game in creative mode, but if you guys remember back in the Fortnite competitive scene when this thing was in the game, that was crazy. This item was so overpowered, and it was just so much fun to use. Let's be totally honest here. I think the majority of us remember the Infinity Blade, and if you never got to play in a world where the Infinity Blade existed, I'm extremely sorry, because that was in Chapter 1, Season 7. If you weren't playing back then, I'm sorry you missed that chance, because this thing was so much fun to use. For our 14th item, we have the Batman's grapple gun, and this thing, yet again, was really fun to use. Now, this was introduced in Season X with the addition of the Batman crossover in Gotham City, and we actually have some gameplay footage all the way down under, again from Australia, coming from our favorite Fresh. And Fresh showcased this item perfectly. It is great for engaging in fights and also running away from them and trying to not die. Now, for our 15th item, we have the Eye of the Storm backpack tracker. Now, technically, this item was never actually released, but Lachlan had some of the only footage of this item to ever be released. So Lachlan is kind of carrying this video right now with this footage because he got some very exclusive clips of what this thing actually looked like, and it was basically just an early version of the Storm Scout sniper rifle, except it didn't have the sniper rifle part. It was literally just a backpack that let you see where the next zone was on the map. So a cool item, but they actually never intended to add it into the game. I really don't know what happened with this item. I wish we had gotten a full released version of this, but hey, what you gonna do about it? It was still a cool item at the end of the day. For our 16th item, we have the original Slurp Juice. Now, a lot of you guys are probably thinking, what? I know Slurp Juice, and it heals me 75 health or shields, depending on what I actually need. No! No, it didn't. The original Slurp Juice only healed either 25 health or 25 shields. Either one of them, it wouldn't overlap. Now, this footage is actually from Lachlan. Again, this is from the clip of the Eye of the Storm backpack tracker, but it was so bad. It was literally horrible. Thankfully, they reworked it to what it is today, where you can heal both health and shields with it. But this item used to suck, guys. Now for our 17th item, we have the bottle rockets, and yet again, this item is very forgotten about. Basically, you threw it down on the ground, it would shoot rockets in a direction. It was from Season 7. Not really that much to say about it. Cool item, but kind of forgotten about. Let's be legit here. Now for our 18th item, we have the Storm Flip. This item, I think, should be in the game today because it is so much fun. Now, the Storm Flip does exactly what it sounds like. When you throw it at the ground, it will flip what the current storm is. I don't really know how to explain that other than that way to you guys. Basically, if you throw it in an area that's not the storm, you will create a little bubble of the storm. If you throw it in the storm, it will create a little safe zone where you and your allies can heal up without actually getting damaged by the zone. Again, I think this should be in the game nowadays. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But let's move on to our next item. Now, for the 19th item, we have the Porta Fortress, and this item was the bigger brother of the Porta Fort. Basically, everyone remembers the Porta Fort, but not everyone remembers the Porta Fortress. This thing was giant compared to the Porta Fort. Even if it had the same little opening with the tires at the bottom, it had a lot more going on all around it, and was a really fun item to use all the way back in Chapter 1, Season 5. For our 20th item, we have the brother of the Porta Fortress, again added in Chapter 1, Season 5. But this item was contained to playground mode only, and this was the Spiky Stadium. Now, we have some amazing footage from postboxpat, who actually still posts videos nowadays, and it makes really high-quality Fortnite content. So, again, go check out his channel if you want to watch some of that. But basically, this item allowed you to spawn in a giant Spiky Stadium that would do a ton of different things, and you could just play around with it with your friends in playground mode, because let's remember, guys, creative mode was not in the game at that point, and you could just play around in playground mode all day. I remember myself, I did this a ton, and I had a blast with this item. Now, for our third to last item, the 21st item on this list, we have the original traps. Of course, I cannot forget these. This is the ceiling zap trap, the wall dynamo, the directional jump pad, the normal jump pad. These are the precursors to our knowledge of Fortnite as it is nowadays. These are what made Fortnite Fortnite. Now, of course, they are still in Save the World, so I do have some gameplay of what that looks like, but these traps were absolutely amazing. If you didn't get a chance to play with them, I'm sorry about that. I believe it was about Chapter 1, Season 1, maybe Season 2, where these things got vaulted, but I was actually playing before seasons even existed, so these things were absolutely amazing to play with, and were really fun to use. Now, for our 22nd item, we have the drift board, and this item was added in Chapter 1, Season 7, and it was literally just a hoverboard that you could do tricks on. Now, unfortunately, I'm horrible at tricks, and I kept failing them in the creative mode, but thankfully, you can still obtain this item in creative mode. You can still play around with it, and you can still have some fun, just like in the good old days. Now, for our final item, this has to be the most forgotten item in the game. I'm telling you, you will not know what this is when I tell you. It's the Zapper Trap. I know, you're probably like, wait, you already covered the original traps. No, this was an item in Season X that wasn't a trap, but it was a trap. It sounds weird, but basically you could pick up this item and throw it at other people's walls, which would then make a trap that had a trap on not only the inside, but also the outside of the wall. This thing did 50 damage, and honestly, I forgot it existed. So, really cool item, but I think the majority of the player base doesn't even know it exists, besides those OGs that were playing all the way back in Season X, who got to experience this amazing item. But those are the top 23 items that only Fortnite OGs will remember. If you guys actually did remember the majority of these items, make sure to leave a comment down below letting us know that you are yourself a Fortnite OG. If there's any that you forgot about, also let us know down below. If you have any video ideas for this channel in the future or anything that you want to see, again, leave a comment down below. There's a lot to talk about down there, so consider dropping one down below. Also, consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, all that good stuff. My name is Gummy Yoshi. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I will see you guys in the next one.